The state of Missouri was one of the first Republican-controlled states, to go ahead and tell the federal government, thanks but no thanks to the extra $300 a week in unemployment benefits that the federal government was providing to states to provide for their citizenry. Missouri said, nope, we're not going to do it. They signed the order in May. On June 12th, it went into effect, and they officially nixed the extra $300 a month from or $300 a week from the federal government. And they did it because they said all these lazy workers out there are making too much money to stay home, and we need to get people back to work, so we're going to yank this safety net away from them and force them back to work. That's been a couple weeks now. So what do the numbers tell us? Well, the numbers tell us that in the state of Missouri, where this has been tested, there has not been an uptick in the number of people getting jobs at all. Like literally no measurable difference after yanking the safety net away from these individuals who desperately needed it. This was entirely predictable, by the way. Economists had said this would happen. You know, we've reported on those stories about how these states could be losing $10 billion in economic activity, I think, a month by ending these unemployment benefits early. But sure, Republicans had to stick to their talking point. And the talking point that they have been pushing since the 1980s here in the United States is that American workers are lazy. They're lazy, worthless bums. That's what the Republican Party wants you to think about the average American worker. And it's never been true. That talking point has been debunked by real world instances time and time again. And this instance in Missouri right now, where you're not seeing an uptick in people getting jobs because they can't be lazy, that's just further debunking. It's always been a fraudulent talking point brought by people who represent a fraudulent party because they got nothing better to say. And we have seen what happens across this country when you give the workers what they want. And what do they want, folks? A living wage. That's what people are holding out for. They want $15 an hour. They want to be able to pay their rent and afford their prescriptions and still have enough money to have food that week. Now, that may seem like extremism to some Republicans, but to those of us living in the real 9-to-5 world out there, or maybe not even the 9-to-5, but the 5 to 1 a.m., the 1 a.m. to 9 a.m., those of us out there having to work paycheck to paycheck, being able to do things like pay your rent and get your medicine and eat food, it's a luxury that millions of people in this country can't afford. And that's all they want. All they want is to be able to work at a job, put in their 40 hours a week, and make enough money to support themselves and their families. That's it. I'd say that's a relatively minor demand. Pay me enough to where I don't have to live on federal assistance that you Republicans continue to demonize as well. If you've got a problem with that, and you've got a problem with people not working, well, the solution is simple. And we've seen it, again, in all the companies that have decided, you know what, we're going to raise the wage. You know what, we're going to give you signing bonuses. They get inundated with applications because you know why? Contrary to Republicans' beliefs, people want to work. They want to contribute. They're not the lazy bums that Republicans have been telling us they are since Ronald Reagan came about in the 1980s with his idiotic welfare queen talking points. We know that American workers are hardworking, they're tough, and they get a sense of accomplishment from doing these things. But here's another side of the equation that I think few people have thought to think about. We've had, over 600,000 Americans die from COVID? Maybe one of the reasons we're also having trouble filling these positions is because the previous people who had them are in the ground now. We got to remember that too, 600,000 Americans. A lot of them working Americans. Going to be hard to fill those. Just a little food for thought there.